Welcome back, you guys. I'm Tassie. This is my Shaman Memoirs channel, and today we're going to talk about some of my experiences when I was in the spirit world. I have been getting quite a few questions, so we'll get into that in this video. Quick disclaimer. Before I get into it, okay, I want to also start off by when I first started to be a shaman, I didn't know anything about shamanism, okay? Nothing. I didn't know that shamans could potentially see things, hear things, what to expect. And so these are going to be my real experiences, and you'll see I was quite stupid a lot as well. So, you know, it's definitely a huge learning curve, and I don't want you guys to misconstrue what my experiences are as being true to every single type of shaman, because just laying it out there right now, a lot of shamans that I have met or known, they do not have similar experiences as myself. They don't see things, they don't hear voices, they don't have any of that. What they tend to do is, it's just a gut feeling, like an instinct kind of a thing when they go. There are a lot of shaman lineages where some tend to record verses, and I have mentioned this quite a bit in other videos. My lineage forbids that. However, there are some who learn their verses through recording because that's how they've always just learned it. That's just what they do. So I'm just going to throw that out there for you guys. Also, keep in mind, a lot of the things that I went through, it doesn't apply to a lot of different shamans, because if you guys recall some of my older videos, how I talk about, I'm actually here for a task, okay? So my experiences are going to be very different because of the job I have in the spirit world, who I am. It's not the same for everybody. Just like how there are, you know, like I've discussed how there are different, like there's literally millions, you guys, of different types of guides. So there are different types of shamans, and they do different things. So a lot of them don't have the same tasks as I do. They don't have the same abilities, and likewise, okay? So take this as my experiences. I don't want you to misconstrue if you are becoming a shaman or you are a shaman. I don't want you to feel disheartened in any way, shape, or form because your experiences may not be like mine was or is. Again, if you guys saw my older videos, especially me growing up with spirits, how it's so different because of who I am. That's why. Big lip issues, man. I hate it whenever I have lipstick. It always gets down here. All right, really quickly, you guys. I am wearing the NYX Professional Makeup, the Shine Loud one. It is sold out everywhere. I had to order this online at Ulta. So just so you know, this has been, not this shade in particular. I have 4 of these. These have been some of my favorite lipsticks, especially with COVID because you're wearing a mask. Transfer proof, baby. My favorite shade is World Shaper. And today I'm wearing Born to Hustle. Okay. So back to the shaman stuff. I have a quick question for you guys because I had this conversation with my siblings and we were all kind of thinking about like, what would you choose if this was a scenario, okay? So I want to know what you guys would have chosen, okay? So if you had no choice, all right, and you had to either choose between hearing ghosts or seeing ghosts, but you can't have both, okay? But you have to have one of these. Which one would you choose? A lot of times when my siblings and we talk about like some ghost stuff, right? We tend to go into like hypothetical scenarios. And obviously we talk about those in my family who we can see or interact, etc. with spirits. Like what are our experiences, etc. So one of them, it was just kind of like, it just came up and we were like, you know, which one would you choose? And everybody chose they would rather see the ghost. I was the only person who chose I would rather just hear the ghost. I mean, this past weekend on social media, I had posted about going to the restroom at this restaurant/bar that we were at, right? And the place is located here in uptown Minneapolis, okay? And I remember, because I've been to this place, and I go to this place quite often because I do love the food, and they have good happy hour, and the happy hour tends to run late. So I was just like, man, I really gotta pee, but I didn't want to go because I always remember there was a ghost in the bathroom. Okay, there's a couple. You know, and so it's one of those things where, honestly, I would rather hear them. I mean, sometimes they can sound kind of creepy, like, but my reasoning for why I would rather hear them than see them is because I can live in oblivion. You know, like, ignorance is bliss. Like, if you can't see them, it's not going to bother you that you see them, right? Like, you're not going to be afraid to go to the bathroom by yourself because you know there's a ghost there, okay? Like, it can be really creepy when the ghost is creepy, okay? Like, some of them, they tend to just not be aware at all, and they're doing their own thing, right? That's cool. But when they are a ghost that is aware of their surroundings and people coming and going, you know, there are some that try to get closer to you as you're using the bathroom. And then there's just friendly ones who try to open and close doors for you, or they try to help you get paper. It's just, you know, so it ranges so much, you know. And, you know, in another social media post on my Facebook, I had talked about how there are, you know, the ghosts in Japan and how I saw the bluish white skin, right? So, you know, like, that's really creepy. I wouldn't want to see that on a regular basis. But for myself, if I hear it, because it doesn't bother me when I hear the ghosts. That's why. I think that's why I chose it versus seeing them. Because the reason why my siblings chose they would rather see it is because if they can see it, they know to stay away, like from that corner or that area, right? I'm like, what if I really need that food over there, but there's a ghost there? Like, am I going to be so traumatized I won't even eat that food because there's a ghost standing there or trying to eat the food too? Like, I don't know. For myself right now, seeing them, I just don't really, it doesn't really bother me as much, but I still get scared of them, you guys. Don't get me wrong, especially when they are creepy, okay? They can be kind of scary. But, you know, like, when I hear ghosts and I accidentally respond, okay, I still do this. It's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I have to remember now and not do it, right? So it's not as scary. I don't know. Sometimes it's scary, like, when they breathe on you or, like, they're making sounds like that. Like, it's like a kind of sound. It's really creepy. But I take it back to one of my old apartments, okay? So my last apartment I was at, it was, like, creepy because the kitchen is, like, right here, and then it's, like, the entryway, and then literally there's a bathroom right there. And my bathroom door is always open, right? But the light's off, obviously. There was this freaking ghost woman who would stand there, watch me while I'm cooking. So I'm literally by my stove, like, just trying to cook and mind my own business, but she is an active ghost. She is aware. And I know she kept wanting to talk to me. So I'm like, I keep telling her to go to the other neighbor's house. But because it's just, that's creepy to me, okay? And I know that somebody had asked me that they were surprised that I still get scared. Even though growing up, I was always around spirits and stuff, right? A ghost is totally different from a spirit, okay? Okay, theoretically, ghosts in my head, they could fall under the category of a spirit. But a spirit of something that was not alive and has died on this plane of existence is totally different from a ghost. Because seeing spirits, no problem. Not a ghost, though. All right, so to my experiences. So again, keeping my disclaimer in mind, you guys. Some of the experiences that I went through when I first started owning, again, I didn't know shamans at all. I didn't know anybody who knew of shamans. It was always one of those things where you would ask your friends and they would be like, oh yeah, you know, I think my brother's girlfriend, her sister is actually a shaman. So it was so like diluted information because like nobody really actually knew these shamans, and if they did, they met them in passing. They don't really know them, so nobody really knew how shamans, their mental health, what do they go through, their experiences, what do they go through, their childhood, all that jazz, right? It's not really common knowledge. Unless you happen to know a lot of shamans, you may feel more free to ask them a lot of more personal questions that, sometimes you're kind of embarrassed to ask somebody when you just met them, especially if they're an elder and you don't know what they went through and what they see or hear. And then sometimes they brush you off anyways, where they don't want to answer you. So again, I had no knowledge whatsoever, you guys. Now, my knowledge came to me as I began. And honestly, I appreciate my teacher for this, because she is not somebody who willingly gives you information. What she does is she kind of tests you. So if I start to, like I was busting among there. When she first tested me to see if my shaman guides would be similar and she could raise me, right? So this is your teacher testing you if you guys are even compatible before you can even move on to the next step. I had no expectations. I did that video about my first time in the spirit world. Nobody expected me to hear or see anything because they didn't really know me either. Okay, I was not super close to them. Okay, so they had no expectations of me, and I had no expectations because I don't know what happens. And then after I got done with that first time going into the spirit world, my teacher asked me what did you see? What did you hear? Anything? But she was very elusive, because obviously she doesn't want to give me any knowledge so that I could be like, oh yeah, this happened just like you said it would. No, it was I literally just told them exactly what I felt, what I heard, and what I saw. And then they were actually surprised that I was able to see and hear and all that jazz, right? And again, that's because it is not common for shamans in general to have all of those abilities. It's not common. You guys might hear from my stories. Again, that's my experiences. And the actual shamans I know of, a lot of them don't have those experiences at all. One of my own students, he didn't have it at all. He didn't have the voices. He didn't have, he just kind of went with it. But he didn't have a whole lot of direction. The way my guides were so forceful, he didn't have that. And the chants that would come, he had to really work at them, you guys, really work at them. And so it's, I know that it's not common because of my experiences with a lot of shamans in the community and hearing their stories. It wasn't common. Now, my teacher, she actually, and my best friend, they both can actually see and hear things. So it was just meant to be that, it really solidified and helped myself as a shaman, having met people who were similar, who had similar experiences. But then because I was around so many different types of shamans as well, through my time when I was one, it also opened up my eyes to know that not everybody was like this. And so it really led me to also see the dark side of where people started to hear about shamans who can see and hear stuff when they do go into the spirit world. So literally that's all they would ask for those type of gifts. And even if they were really good at bringing people from the brink of death, that wasn't enough for them. They still wanted what they didn't have. So that really became very prevalent, that this issue existed. So that's probably why I stress so much in my videos, because I don't want people to misconstrue or get the wrong idea. So in my early stages, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm trying to think if I've mentioned this before, but when I was first starting to oneng, especially, I raised my first level shrine at home, and this is not with my teacher around or anything like that. I'm just going into the spirit world at home. So my spirit guides, they always were telling me I had to go into the spirit world every single freaking day. So at the beginning, you guys, it was literally so many hours of repeating verses over and over and over and over. And they were teaching me so many times how to call all of my guides. They were teaching me their names. They were teaching me what they do. They were teaching me the verses and spells and all sorts of magic, right? Now, here's the thing though. If I messed up a single word, they would make me start all over again. That's how annoying they were. And sometimes, you know, I think I'm ingenious and I would try to pretend I said the right word. It doesn't work, you guys. Because it's like you're trying to lie to yourself. Like, no, that's the word I meant to say. No, you still got sent back, okay? And you had to do it again. So I remember I used to be so irritated because because one day I stopped. I literally just started yelling at them. I'm like, why are you guys doing this to me? I know this. Why do you keep doing this to me? And, you know, obviously they didn't listen. They made me do it again. But just so you guys understand, though, a little background about it. When I was no longer onenging, like in the spirit world, and I'm like done from being in the spirit world, I don't remember those verses, you guys. I don't remember any of them, okay? This isn't something where I have to know all of the exact spells and exact words, okay? The reason why they were doing this to me, it was because they knew I was very distrustful of them, and I would try to do things on my own, okay? So because that's how I am, you know, like I don't need people to give me exact directions. If you tell me the gist of it, I got this. Don't worry. I'm going to wing it until I make it. So my guides know that about me. And at this time, it was a time of me getting to know them. So what they were doing was forcing me to let go. Because what I was doing, and I wasn't aware I was doing this. This is why I'm telling you all this story. I was trying to control the verses and making sure that I understood the word that was being used and said, because I didn't understand the words. So they were teaching me to let go and just let them do it. That's what they were teaching me. So every time I messed up on a word, it was because I was focusing too hard on how to say it, how to pronounce it. And I was messing up all of the time because of that. So when you do it 1,000 times, as I did, you end up literally going further into your trance per se, and naturally everything now flows out of you. So that was the whole point of that teaching point there for me, which obviously, you know, I didn't get until later, because when you're a shaman and you go through different experiences and scenarios you're not prepared for, like, because I've told you guys in older videos, you don't practice ceremonies before you actually do the ceremony, okay? You go there and literally you do it live right then and there. That's it. So all of those verses, the amount of verses you need to know, I mean, unless you are like super dedicated for your whole life and you literally practice it outside of you being in the spirit world, nobody is going to know all of those verses, okay? I don't know how the lineages where they do recordings, I have no idea how they remember those verses, because I don't remember any of the verses, because I trusted and put everything on my guides. They do it for me. They're just using my vocals, you know, like in my body, but I don't know the verses by heart. Now, another common thing I did when I was in the spirit world was, remember how I told y'all about these books? Okay, and how I didn't know how to read them? So it was really, really common when I was in the spirit world. They would constantly take me to a bunch of gods. And they would constantly take me there because it's like a quest, you guys. Okay, so what I did before I became reincarnated as a human, my actual self in the spirit world, I left knowledge and power with all of these gods in all of these worlds. So I had to now go back and collect it all. Y'all, I hated this, okay? Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so the reason why this was done is because it was meant to protect that it was my magic and my power and my knowledge. And it was to force my lazy ass to go to all of the worlds. And whenever I went to a god and I went to their worlds, they would teach me everything again. And it was a lot of, they would show me flashbacks and memories so that I would wake up and I would become aware again. And this was the fastest way for me to wake up again, because it would literally take a human several lifetimes to gain all of this knowledge, okay? So this was the only fastest way. And I remember when I graduated, okay, because I listened and I went to all my classes with these gods and they talked to me for hours, and I am going during all this time, you guys, okay? So this is what I mean by it's hours of your life. So after I graduated though, what they would do is they would hand me these books, and I remember specifically trying to read these books because because I knew internally, inside my soul, I didn't know what the hell these books were. I didn't understand these books. I couldn't read them. All I saw were symbols. And I remember there was a very specific scene. Okay. It's like you're trying to lie to yourself, okay? But it's like I knew I didn't know how to read them. So I didn't want to get in trouble that I didn't know how to read these books. And I was pretending to be like, thanks for the book. Like, I know what I'm doing here because I didn't know. So there is a very specific scene that has always stood out in my head. Probably no thanks to my spirit guides. But this is what I mean by your guides know you better than you know yourself. So even if I never said it out loud that I couldn't read these books, that I didn't know what was really going on, they knew this. They knew it. But they knew that I just had to go through it because it's part of the ceremony. It's part of the ritual. It's part of the actual process. So I have to go to these high-level gods. They would talk to me. They would show me images. They would tell me all sorts of stuff that I didn't really understand. But I'm like, and then at the end of it, they would give me clothes, they would give me my magic, and then they would give me books. And I remember I was with the god of death, and I'm like standing there, and it's like a ornate podium with this big old book, and I'm like flipping through it on purpose. I am purposely flipping through the pages, like looking at the edges, looking at how it was designed, looking at the gold words. And I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, I was like, I can't read this book. I don't know what it's saying. But then I just kept like, he's literally just standing there watching me as I do this. Okay. And I'm just like, like, and he probably knew I couldn't read it. Okay. So the whole point of the whole book thing, it's a symbol, you guys. Yes, it is a book, but it's supposed to be representing a book of knowledge. And that what happens is once I accept it, okay, a weird thing happens. The only thing I could explain is it kind of goes into your body. It goes into, because, okay, like, one thing you may not know, gods, we do not touch each other. So if they are handing me something, my guides go out and grab it and bring it back to me. So I actually have dragons who do it for me. I physically do not go and touch them. Like if they're holding a book, like I don't touch their hands as I'm grabbing it from them, okay? So the podium thing was there, and I did read that book, and I did touch it, and I kept looking at it like, I can't read you. But I don't actually touch them like their skin, okay? I don't know why. I just had to say that because it just came into my head. But my guides, they always went and grabbed everything for me. They put the clothes on for me, okay? The gods do not put clothes on one another, okay? So what it represents is the knowledge is being given to me again. However, imagine an alien is like beaming you with a light of knowledge. It's weird, but you can't take all that knowledge at once. Like you will physically go into pain because it's too much at once. So this was done over a great span of time. And so what happens is when I go to sleep, all the knowledge would like load. This is the easiest way I can explain it. And the thing was, I would forget about whatever it was, right? I didn't focus like, what did I learn? Okay, because what happens is when you are faced in that actual situation, all the knowledge just comes forward and you just know it. That's how it actually was for me in the spirit world. The knowledge would just hit you up front and you just understood it. You knew all the rules. You knew how it worked. You knew where to go. You knew everything. You knew the actual spirits that you would come across in those God's worlds because the knowledge had came back to you. That's how it worked for me. Like these spirits do not, the teaching, it's not word for word, chapter by chapter. It's that, again, that would take you so many lifetimes, you guys. It is, they always just go. They just give you chants, okay? And if you pay attention to the chants, you have a gist of what they're trying to portray and say to you. But they don't tell you word for word the way I'm talking to you right now. So for shamans, it's not always like that. Sometimes they will, especially if you're too confused, you're lost. I have stopped before and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, that's right. And then they would just explain briefly what's going on, you know, and so that's it, you know, but then the knowledge hits you later when you're no longer thinking about it. And it's weird how that works, but that's how it actually is. Now, I will also say that in time, I just gave up on the books because it happened so often. Like, it literally just became a regular task. Like, and the whole point of receiving and gaining all of this back is you're graduating from this world that you've accepted. You're waking up and you're gaining your knowledge back, and I just quit thinking about it because I'm like, well, this keeps happening. They know now I can't read the books. So it was just, I just got over it pretty much. And it just became a normal thing that I expected would happen whenever I went into the spirit world. Eventually, though, it stopped happening as often. All right. Now, the next thing, in case y'all didn't know, I do have my own world. It's actually considered my home. So when I tell my guides that I want to go home, they take me to this place. And it's a journey. Like, because before I can ever enter my home, I have to go through all these different layers. And the layering, once I go into them for you guys to understand, it's due to my abilities and because of what I do. That's why. All right. So before I can even enter into my own world or my own home, I go through what is like the heavens, right? You see the heavens around you. It's open sky. And from the distance, you can see other worlds. And then, boom, everything is bright white. It's like everything is gone. And then you enter. It's going to sound a little ridiculous. It is a whole world of metal fire, okay? Like, you're literally bursting into flames, okay? Like, it is just everywhere. And you have to go through it. There is a whole meaning and magical verse and everything that you have to do to get through that. And then when you're done burning and going up in flames, you then go into a whole world of just water. Clear, pristine water that has something in it. And then you're greeted by the old dragons from when the heavens first became. They stand there on guard. And the first time I could enter my own home, this is my first time in the spirit world I actually went there, I had to be in dragon form. I could not come as my human form or like how I am right now. I had to transform into an actual dragon. And then I could actually go into my world. So there's a lot of reasonings and old lore tied to this and traditions. It's all about traditions, you guys. It's very structured up there. But then now, after my first time when I had to be in a dragon form to appear, the next time, whenever I go back to my world, I always have to come on an actual dragon. I don't just appear like Superman. Like, I don't fly there, okay? That's not how it happens. And in case you guys are wondering, because I know y'all gonna ask me questions, no, not just anybody can actually enter into my world. There are at times, like, I get messages, right? The only way somebody can actually send a direct message to me is you need to have something very specific that can actually reach me. That's how a lot of other high-level gods, they're able to send me messages because they know when I'm not there. And I do have, as I mentioned in another video, a version of me up there, okay? Just so you guys know. However, if they need to reach my soul, they need to do something specific to actually reach me. And in case y'all didn't know, I'm not the only high-level god who's been reborn here, okay? I've told you guys on many occasions, this is not that special, okay? Like, you know how we still gotta work, we still gotta make a living. I know that there are actually 3 other high-level gods who are reborn during this exact time and period as me. Hello! All right, so just so you guys know again, my memories there and how I left them in all those worlds, it is again because I have a very specific task that I am completing. Dad. Okay, and in my other videos, I have mentioned how a lot of shamans, they have 1 to 2 main spirit guides. Okay, most shamans will only have 1 main guide. Some others, they will have 2. So I actually have 2 dragons as my main guides. One is an all black one is an all white one. Hence my favorite colors. But they are my main guides that are always with me and they're always talking to me. And when I'm in the spirit world, they're always there as well. Now I have a funny person as well. So the funny person I have is actually a Buddha. So I freaking love Buddhas because I think they are so freaking hilarious. I find them so entertaining. The dragons, not so much. But Buddhas are really entertaining in a sense that they're kind of like, they're over the top in my head. And when I say Buddha, I am not talking about Buddhism. Okay. So these types of spirit guides, we call them the Shamanic show. So they're not like Buddha. Okay, they're not Buddha, but they look like Buddhist monks, basically. My dragons do not like Buddha statues at all. They don't even like dragon ones. The only time they like a dragon statue is if there's an actual dragon in there. Or else they don't like dragon statues because they see it more of a mockery. So they don't like it. They don't like, why do people keep trying to capture them in a sense. So that's why they don't like it. So I have no dragon statues. I have no Buddha statues. We don't like them at all. It's a weird feeling when I see them. It's kind of like an irritation. Like when people are burning sage and they're just upsetting really strong spirits. It's kind of like that. So I do not own any whatsoever. I've never in my entire life owned any, and I'm not allowed to have any. Oh, I take that back. I had an ex who didn't collect dragon stuff or had dragon stuff, but we always thought it was kind of comical and kind of weird and funny. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I'm just saying my own guides, we don't like them. I have a ton of actual guides, but we don't talk about a lot of spirit guides because there's just too many of them, you guys. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you are a shaman and you ever collect a guide, or a spirit guide type, okay? Because it's not just one guide. You don't just go and capture one Buddha, okay? There's a bunch of them that comes with them. If they are not meant for you, they will actually leave. And you will actually never gain the abilities of those spirit guides. And yes, a lot of spirit guides, they have abilities that come with them because that's what they're born to do. Now, other types of abilities, like being able to see spirits, hear spirits, etc., that is something you're either born with naturally as a gift from the heavens, or else you just don't have that ability. I know a lot of people who always went to go into the spirit world to try and like eat fruits, to gain luck or to gain abilities of hearing and seeing stuff. And they always became really upset when nothing happened. Quit doing it if y'all doing that, okay? Now, in line with this video, I have been asked by other people, like, if you had a spiritual connection when you were younger and then you pushed it away, but now you want it back, okay? So I do want to warn you guys with that because, a lot of people in the Hmong shaman community, if they have spirit guides, a lot of times they tend to give them away. Because they don't want the life of being a shaman, which I totally respect. I totally understand. Because I've been trying. I'm just saying. I personally, like if I had children, I would never take their spirit guides from them. Because a shaman's spirit guide is tied to their soul. Literally. So this is different from locking them up, okay? There's a lot of connotations of locking up spirit guides. However, giving them away will shorten your lifespan. Taking them away from an individual will shorten their lifespan. That is just the way it is. Because it's a gift from the heavens. So if you cut this off, okay, that is the deal that you are bartering. There is no other option. You can't take spirit guides away from somebody and not also take years from their lifespan. That's not how it works. It goes together. And I'm not gonna lie, a big fear I have with having children is that I know my children will have a lot of spiritual stuff, okay? And you know, it's creepy. I don't want to deal with kids having spiritual issues because I handled it extremely well, considering I didn't know what I was doing. But you know, some people, they get really scared and they keep telling you there's a ghost in the corner. Okay, like, I don't want to deal with that. But also, I don't want to put my children through this, you know? So I'm fine not having children because that is such a huge responsibility. I don't know if I'm okay with doing that or having that in my life. And not everybody will be okay going through a really strong spiritual journey of not knowing what the hell is going on and you're going crazy. A lot of people do go crazy. And people who, you know, with even shamans can go crazy. If you bring upon yourself guides that you're not prepared to handle or have, you can go crazy, man. I've seen crazy, like burning your shrine up crazy, setting it on fire with gasoline crazy. Okay, I've seen crazy stuff. I've seen shamans become so haunted, they don't know what to do. It's just, it's not all fun and games is basically what I'm saying. And that's why a lot of elders have a bit of a hesitance and fear with shaman stuff, especially if you're dealing with life and death and spirits that people don't know how to handle. Just be careful, man. That's all I'm saying. Locking up of spirit guides, the really bad connotations with that is you will forever feel it imprinted on you for several lifespans. You will feel it imprinted against you. Like, you're not supposed to do anything with spirit. Like, you shouldn't do anything to a spirit guide is what I'm saying. Like, okay, and again, that's my opinion, my knowledge that I know of. You should never do anything to a spirit guide because it directly impacts the shaman. That's why. And again, it really goes back to how I told you guys, you know, your guides know you better than yourself. So there are a lot of times when people find out they're supposed to be a shaman and they don't believe it, they shun it, they won't accept it. You know, like, you're going to feel the impact because you're basically lying and denying yourself, you know, like, same thing with people who are aware they're supposed to be a shaman. If you internally accept it by yourself, you don't have to even say it out loud. You have accepted it, okay? So do not go back, okay? That's what I'm just saying. If you at any point in your life ever said to yourself, I will accept this. Maybe you said, maybe when I'm older. Time's ticking for everybody, okay? I live in proof. I couldn't run away from it, you guys. So, with all of my knowledge and all this great jazz, I couldn't escape it. So, I'm just saying, you have to always be very careful about the things you may have said or done, because it all will be inflicted back upon you later. And you gotta be careful. You gotta think about these things. And even if you were younger and you did accept it, or even if you were younger and you didn't accept it, you face so many different types of implications because of that. So I hope with my stories of my experiences that you guys can understand how I have so much knowledge now and I know so much now, but even in the moment I didn't. I was just as dumb, you know? So my best advice is to not think too much on it, literally. Like, let it go, because everything, it fits perfectly later or when it's meant to, everything will fit perfectly. It really will. As frustrated as you might be, there are many days where I was so frustrated because I didn't understand these books and it was stressing me out, man. So it was just, you know, like, you just got to let it go because your guides will know you better than yourself. And if you say things negatively about your own journey, about your own guides, you are literally doing it to yourself. You're going to have to do all sorts of stuff to raise them back up. If you ever did this to your guides because you were upset at your own journey and you inflicted it upon your guides, you have to do extra things to raise them up again. Nobody else can actually raise them because you inflicted it upon yourself. Hope that makes sense, you guys. Until next time.